With all the rain about, I think Ascot's going to be quite tricky this year, but I do like the John Gosden's horse Fencing in the St James's Palace on the first day, the Tuesday. I thought he ran really well in the Guineas and the Dante. In the Guineas, he'd had an interrupted preparation. I don't think he was at his best that day, but he still ran well to be sixth. And then in the Dante at York, he travelled really well. He was far too keen and didn't get home over 10 furlongs. I think the drop back to a mile will suit him. I think Ascot will suit him really well. And I'm not too convinced about the form of Power. I thought the Irish Guineas was a funny race, really. The favourite didn't run his race that day, came home coughing Trumpet Major, and I'm not sure the form's brilliant. I think Power's beatable, especially if the ground's soft, and I think Fencing will be the horse to do it. So for me, Fencing in the St James's Palace on Tuesday.
Hello ladies and gentlemen, it's me Mark Winstanley, dressed up for Royal Ascot as you can see with the old England badge. No doubt the Jelly Bean Rummy in her box and all that, we'll have a bit of a spirit up in all that. If old Philip's not so well, then I'd slip in next door next to the Jelly Bean. And Napa Royal Ascot, ladies and gentlemen, it's a big price one, it's called Almagia. Also Roger Varian's was very impressive the other day, over 7 furlongs in the King Charles Stakes at Newmarket. I think 7 furlongs is his trip, it's got no penalties. Coming into this race where all other horses are going to have the penalties to carry. In the 7 furlong Jersey Stakes for 3-year-olds only, ladies and gentlemen, Almagia, Roger Varian, Paul Hannigan and Handam El Matsoum. The Nap for Royal Ascot. Get in there.
My Royal Ascot banker is Fame and Glory in the Ascot Gold Cup. For 4 years in a row I tried to get Yates beaten in this race and it didn't happen, and Ballydor looked to have the perfect replacement for him. He won last season, of course. He won on his comeback at Navan, looked better than ever, and Ballydor will get him looking superb for the Gold Cup. I think it will take an awesome performance from one of his other rivals to beat him. Fame and Glory, he's not a huge price, but if you like a banker, then that's where to go.
Glory on the outside, however, is coming to throw down a challenge. Opinion Poll is staying on from back in the field as well. It's Fame and Glory, the well-backed favourite, who took over from Manigar. Then Opinion Poll, who continues to close. It's Fame and Glory. He's got 3 lengths in hand over Opinion Poll in second. Fame and Glory driven out, is staying on strongly. Opinion Poll into second, but once again, for the 6th time in a row, the Gold Cup will go to Ireland. Fame and Glory beats Opinion Poll. Brigantine.
My nap of the week is Narain in the Windsor Forest Stakes at Ascot on Wednesday. Roger Varian's filly makes her season reappearance here. However, she was lightly raced but massively progressive last season. She won the Prix de l'Opera at the Arc meeting at Longchamp before going on to run second in the Breeders' Cup filly and mare turf at Churchill Downs on her final run of the season. Now in this week's stable tour in the Racing Post Weekender, Roger Varian talks about his filly and how she has been absolutely delighting him in his work, and she is better than ever for her reappearance. So, you know, this is a Group 2 field. It looks eminently winnable for this filly of her ability, and I take her to win.
Yeah, I think Roger Varian has a couple of good chances at Royal Ascot. One of them definitely being Midjar in the Walferton Handicap, as he should get his favoured cut in the ground this horse, and he's definitely well handicapped. He was only 3rd on his reappearance at York, but he got no right to finish that close, really, given how fresh he was on returning from his injury. And this is a really imposing horse with a lot more to offer. He was 4th in last year's King Edward as well at the Royal Meeting, so he'll handle the occasion. And granted some cut in the ground, I think Midjar is handicapped to go well in the Walferton. Another Varian horse to consider is Eaton Forever, who was extremely unlucky at Chester last time, and this horse also has a good handicap in him, and I gather he goes for the Buckingham Palace handicap over 7 furlongs, which does look a good move, as I prefer this horse over that trip than a mile, and he was bitterly unlucky at Chester last time, and is definitely coming to the Boyle in time for the Royal Meeting.
Race onto the course proper, past the 400 metres mark. Mashua Joe, joined by August Rush. Soul Power coming down the outside, and Joy and Fun on the inside. They're all across the track. Soul Power on the outside. Hortensia's flashing home. Hortensia coming from last. Hortensia's won the Elgo Sprint.
My nap of Royal Ascot comes in the Diamond Jubilee Stakes on Saturday, and it's in the Without Black Caviar market, and the horse in question is James Fenshaw's Society Rock, winner of this race last year, 2nd in 2010. He loves this course and distance, and I think at around 6 to 1 in the Without market, he represents a real massive each way value. Plenty in that market are likely to run in the King's Stand Stakes, and I think it's an anti-post price which could look extremely big on Saturday morning.
My nap at Royal Ascot is Sadler's Rock in the Gold Cup. I think he's a very, very good chance. I think he's a smashing horse. He's still rather unexposed. He hasn't run over the trip yet, but he's Doncaster Cup victory last year over Opinion Poll. is really solid form for a horse that only made his debut a few months earlier. I think Fame and Glory is beatable. I think he's obviously the winner of the race last year, but I don't think he's the superstar in the mould that Yates was. Maybe time will tell, but John Ox has been very bullish about Sadler's Rock. I think he ran a crack on his comeback run when many things were against him at Leopardstown. He makes plenty of appeal for me.
An Australian sprinter is set to take Royal Ascot by storm on Saturday, but if you want to make money at the meeting, try back in a French one on Tuesday instead. Whizkid is her name. She won very, very easily at Chantilly last time, and she's running in the Kingstand Stakes on Tuesday when the ground is going to be on the soft side. She's the only one of the market leaders that likes ground with a bit of cut. She acts at Ascot, as she showed when she was second to Deacon Blues last year. She's different class to most of the field, and she'll beat the ones that don't like the ground.
Maybe out in front, chased now by Fire Lily into second. Princess Sinead is third with 100 yards to race. Maybe, and Joseph O'Brien out in front by 2 lengths. It's going to win the Moyclair for Ballydoyle. Maybe wins from Fire Lily, close for third.